What is up, Nico Nation? Welcome to the inaugural Division Draftables, first episode of our draft series that highlights the outlook of your favorite team and all 32 NFL teams as we kind of move past the draft cycle and kind of go towards training camp and really preseason football. I'm your host, Niko Chambers, Nico the Draft Guy. That's what you can call me. Alongside my co-host, P Dunn. P Dunn, how's it going, man?
I'm good, man. I'm really excited to dive into this. This is going to be great for these viewers and figuring out what's going on with their team. And we've done a lot of really good work making sure that we are as prepared as we can be to get this done. So very
Hell yeah,
excited.
I'm super excited. As you can see on the screen, shout out our design team, fully new designs coming out. So you're going to see brand new graphics today on this launch. Super excited to give that to you, kind of best for the viewer. We worked really hard on that. So shout out to that. Um, and yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. Before we get started, Pete, talk to me about the origin of Division Draftables, our goal with the series, and what it means for the NFL fan watching.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is a very team-centric video idea that we've got going here. Like you said, we're going to be doing these episodes in each division. So it's going to be, very much focused on your team and the teams you'll be playing the most. So it is, like we said, we put in a lot of work into really analyzing every pick. The most important picks, like you said, like we've got five categories that we're going to go into that are going to give you a really good idea of like what's going to be the best this year, maybe what's going to be the best down the road, maybe the guy we should keep the eye on that you didn't expect to. We've done a lot of really good work, and we're very prepared to give this viewer the best analyzation of your draft and how it's going to go looking into this year. So I'm very, very excited about how this is going to go.
We love to hear that, man. And like he said, we're going to give you that division outlook post draft, kind of really how your team stacks up in the conference, the way that we kind of layer it. Obviously, we're going to talk about our big fives, our favorite picks from each team's draft, and then at the very end, kind of transition it towards what ultimately is going to come with training camp and preseason, but the win totals and how that looks with the new schedules that came out. So without further ado, let's get this thing started. First team doing the NFC East, the New York Giants. New York Giants, Peyton, how do we feel about their draft?
You know, the Giants had a really interesting draft. I'm very high on it. I think we both gave it an A minus. I think when you get the best player in the draft, you get great value down the board, and you get most importantly a possible future franchise quarterback. Like I think you got a home run. I think this was an awesome draft. I'm very happy with how they did. Very happy with the value they got. And yeah, what do you think, Nico?
Dude, I love it. We were very critical of Joe Shane and obviously Brian Dable coming into this process, as we should be, based on kind of the hard knocks and how the season kind of turned out. But I think this is a slam dunk draft. I mean, you're looking at, I mean, their first five picks are all going to be impact players, I think, in their first year, if not their second year. It's just a really good job. You can see really how highly rated, kind of over here, how highly rated we had these dudes. Obviously, if you can go get Abdul Carter and then find a way to go get a franchise quarterback, you can't really go wrong. But even then, they hit the home runs in round three, four, and even five. I know you're very high on the offensive tackle here out of Purdue. But you can't really complain if you're a Giants fan. Yeah, I mean, I just really like this draft. We'll kind of transition here a little bit to what their depth chart is kind of looking like after obviously free agency in the draft. What stands out to you here?
I think that Marcus Mbow is going to start at right guard by the time the season starts. I think he's going to slot in at that guard spot. I never really saw him as a tackle. I thought he was going to push inside. And I think he'll get that start this year. I think it's going to be obviously the headliners, the quarterback competition. It's going to be really interesting to see where that crowded room in a weird way ends up
Yeah,
going.
for sure.
It's going to be really fun, and I cannot wait to see Scottaboo and Tracy as this season goes on. So, yeah, I love it. I think this team got so much better this offseason. I think Joe Shane at least got himself a couple more years. It's
I agree
time
with that.
for Dayball to do his part and see if he can hold on.
Now let's talk about that quarterback room. it's a unique one coming from where they were last year. They, had Drew Lock, they had Tommy DeVito. Um, but really just want to applaud them for what they did. I think they kind of gave, obviously, I'm gonna talk about my boy Russell Wilson. I think they kind of gave that veteran star who's kind of aging. Honestly, he's underappreciated in my opinion. I think his years in Denver and Pittsburgh were just over scrutinized for really no reason. I think he could still ball. But you have him, and then you have the stopgap, probably the best stopgap in the league in Jameis Winston. And then you plant Dart there. And I think that with Dable and Dart, like it's just gonna, if they can just sit Dart for a year, maybe even two, I think this can really be a competitive team. I think that they obviously put in the work. Adding guys. I really like the Holland signing. And just I don't hate this at all. You're gonna see a big year from Neighbors. Yeah, if I'm the Giants fan, I'm honestly excited for next season. And I don't know how much excitement you've gotten in the last few years. Um, it's just awesome.
I mean, that D line is nasty,
Oh yeah.
nasty. Like big decks. We put Darius Alexander in there in the middle. You've got those three guys on the edge. I don't know what's going to happen to Thibodeau, but you've got him for at least this year. Like that D line is nasty. And so everything they're doing, like, is just really like it's really good. I really like the way the trajectory was. This was a great draft, man. And like you said, like we'll see what happens with Dart. Like I don't know whether it's going to work out. It doesn't need to this year. Like sit him this year. Let him sit in that system. Let him learn Dayball's offense. I don't know. I love it. I think they killed this draft.
It's a fantastic job by them. Um, and so, Pete Dunn, talk to me about we've kind of broken it down in our five categories: favorite pick, draft diamond, best value, top sleeper, and year one impact. We have it all out here for you. So, Peyton, talk to me about your picks.
Yeah. Favorite pick, Abdul Carter. Favorite player in the draft. I mean, home run pick. If you get him, you get the best player in the draft at three. You don't complain. You run it in, and you let him change your defense. Let him change your team. I think he added multiple wins onto the squad this year just by that one pick. Draft diamond. Darius Alexander. It's hard. It's similar to the sleeper because like I think these are big names that they just got really good value on. And so maybe it might not be a diamond, it might be a diamond from where he was picked, but everybody knows he's going to come there and be an absolute dog on that defense. So same thing with best value. Like you said, I'm very high on Bo. I think he's going to slide in and be a great guard for them. Something they need. They need some stability at that right guard spot. Um, and then year one impact, Scattaboo, him and Tracy Jr., Tyron Tracy Jr. is just going to be like lightning and thunder. It is going to be you have to try and catch Tracy, and then you get to get run over by Scottaboo on the next play. It is going to be disgusting. So I am very excited to see how that goes this year. Like it's going to be fun to watch like week one, how that's going to work out. So it's really, really awesome.
I think they did a really good job there. I'll kind of go into mine a little bit, also an A minus. So we're kind of on the same wave. Like whenever you get two analysts like this on the same wavelength, you did a good job. Just like you, I got Abdul Carter, my favorite pick. He's my number one player in the draft. Kind of self-explanatory. I think in terms of career and draft diamond, Abdul Carter is going to be your guy for the next 5, 10 years. I mean, that's no brainer. Darius Alexander, I'm really high on Darius Alexander. I have him here. He was my sixth defensive tackle on the board, and he was taken 10th.
Yeah.
So for me, that's a little bit of a steal. And I feel like throwing him in there with big decks and all of the other weapons they got, it'll be really cool to see. I think sleeper Jackson Dart kind of reason I got him here as a sleeper is because I don't think this is going to be his year, but I honestly do think out of all of the quarterback head coach pairings, I think Brian Dable is the best for him and his play style. I don't know if the Giants as a team are, but I know that coach is. And I
Yeah.
know what he did for Josh Allen. I know how he's developed the quarterbacks. He hasn't really gotten that guy truly since he's been here in New York. But I think this gives him the best opportunity to sit back and learn and do his thing. And then, of course, year one impact, Abdul Carter, self-explanatory. He's going to come in here. He's going to run people over.
Yep.
Um, so yeah, I mean, overall, kind of Giants, great job. I think, like we said, I feel like they really saved their jobs. And they did a really good job doing that. I got a question for you, Pete Dunn. Who is the week one starter?
Oh gosh. I think it's gonna be Russell. I don't think they're definitely not trotting out Dart week one. And I think Russell, I think Daboll's going to like the stability of having him at quarterback over Winston. And like you said, I think he's got more in the tank than people I think he does. So that's where I'd lean right now. Maybe Winston will push him, but I don't think Dart's going to be the guy. So yeah, that's who I think will be.
I totally agree with you there. You got to let Russell Wilson cook, bro. Like he's still got it in the tank, and obviously biased Seahawks fan, but been my favorite player for who knows how long, many years now. But you got to let him keep cooking. And I I really would not sleep on this team. I feel like this is a very sleeper team. They're kind of in a division. They're getting overlooked by what's ahead of them. But look out for them Giants, for sure. Um, we'll transition in here to the Washington Commanders. It's a large fan base that we get to cover being from Virginia. So Pete, tell me about their draft. What should they be looking forward to?
I think if you are a Commanders fan, this is not a draft that's going to blow your socks off. But they had a goal to come in and protect the future of Jaden Daniels, and they went and they got Josh Connerly. They went and they got him a weapon. Like they didn't have a lot of draft picks to work with. Two of their picks were late round picks with only 5 picks on the board. So. Like they got a guy they liked in Connerly. He's going to slot in probably this year and play this year, be able to protect Jaden Daniels. They did their job. They did what they wanted to do. So with that, give them credit. But at the end of the day, it wasn't a great draft. So I ended up with a B minus for them.
I also had a B minus. Obviously the picks are there. It's just like there's a lot of question marks. What were they going to do? They could have went edge. Will Johnson was sitting on the board, and we'll talk about this over and over again for a lot of teams. Passing on Will Johnson, who we had very high on our boards. But um, at the end of the day, if you're a Commanders fan and you're kind of stressed about that, you got to know that there was a massive drop off after Connerly. And while you're very high on Simmons, and Simmons went to the Chiefs after. Kind of after those two, massive drop off. So if you're looking in terms of rounds, um, you're not going to get a value tackle in the second round. Whereas you got the blessing of Trey Amos falling that much. And I feel like that kind of makes up for it in a sense. So that's something to really be excited about. Other than that, though, Lane, I don't really know. I didn't have him ranked. You didn't have him ranked. He wasn't a notable guy, and I feel like they took him early with other better receivers on the board, and then kind of two forgettable picks at the end. So it'll honestly see how it turns out. They had limited picks to start, but can't really hate. But for me, it's a B minus. It's a little bit above average. We'll kind of go in here to this depth chart and what we're looking at. Pete, what do you see here?
Um, I mean, I think you see a team that had a hole at corner and filled a hole and wanted to get more aggressive on offense coming off last year, and they got Deebo Samuel. So, I mean, really, it's not that much different of a team than it was last year. And I think if you're a Commanders fan, you're happy with that because last year's pretty awesome. I think
Yeah,
Connolly's going to find his way into that starting rotation. I'd be very shocked if he's not, um, either at left guard or somewhere along that offensive line. I think the Laramie Tunsil thing was awesome. I think they got him at a good value because the Texans were done with him. We'll talk about that when we get to the Texans. But
yeah.
uh, you know, I mean, they got better slightly than they did last year. So if you're a Commanders fan, you're happy with that. And I think if you're inside the Commanders organization, you're happy with that as well. So they did what they could.
I think it's interesting. I'm pretty sure they came into the free agency with one of the most caps in the league. And I just don't see much difference. And I feel like that can be a little frustrating because like of how great your season was. Imagine adding more people. But at the same time, sometimes simple is better and we overcomplicate things. You see it in the NBA all the time. We're just adding superstars and superstars, but like sometimes it's better to just do what you've been doing. So I don't hate this at all. I think they had a pretty good offseason. It's not an A+ caliber. It's probably somewhere in the B's. But they did what they needed to do, address the holes. I'm just interested to see what this defensive line looks like. They kind of, you can see how much faith they have in Dorrance Armstrong there, and kind of they didn't really go get a big dude. So it'll be interesting to see what they do there. Peyton, talk to me about your picks.
Yeah, I mean, not a lot to talk about because there wasn't a lot of picks, but I mean, I love the Trey Amos pick, like you talked about. Like, if they were to go corner then tackle, their value, their combination of picks would not have been as good as they did when they went tackle then corner. Trey Amos falling in their lap was awesome. Jalen Lane, I think he's got a shot to run this year. I don't know a bunch about him from what I've seen post draft because he was not on my radar pre-draft. I think he's a guy, like you said, he's a slot receiver. I mean, he's gonna have a role. You know, that's his that Debo is he's probably slotted in as a slot on the depth chart, but I'm not sure how much he's gonna play there. You know, he's kind of a chess piece. Value, Trey Amos, like I said. And then year one impact, I think Connerly is going to be that guy. We talked about him slotting on that offensive line. I think it's going to be really helpful. He's a good player. I wasn't super high on him, but I think he's going to get runs in this offensive line in this year one. So very excited for that.
Oh yeah. Same thing here, B minus. Same type of thing. My favorite pick, Amos, obviously. I do think Connolly's gonna have the best career out of anybody in this draft class. I think obviously best value Trey Amos. I mean, I don't even need to look at the paper. I mean, it's a steal getting him in the second round. It's kind of weird because the corners they ranged. He could have been the eighth corner. He could have been the third. It's just strange how that works. But I feel like he'll have a really good impact this year. And then of course, Lane kind of as a sleeper. Just excited to kind of see what he can do on this offense, really. So before we transition to the next team, let's talk about storylines. How do we continue to do what we did last year if we are the Washington Commanders?
I think you continue to let Jay Daniels do whatever he wants to do. He is the sole reason you went from where you were 2 years ago to where you were last year. And so you did your job. You got him Debo Samuel, you got him Josh Connerly, and you just kind of hope that he's going to continue to do what he does. You know, the defense really didn't get that much better. So you're going to have to continue to trust that he's going to make up for that. That's why I think you and me both thought they would have a more defense-centric draft than they did, and maybe even offseason in general. But they didn't, so it's gonna have to be the Jaden Daniels show again until they start to figure that out.
I think that he'll be a-okay. You're looking at, and we'll get into the win totals kind of towards the end here, but you're looking at, you're not, I don't think you're going to be as good as you were last year. But you're going to be right around that. You're going to be competing for the division, probably second, up in there. So it's just for them, they got to capitalize on the division games. I think you got to take advantage of the Cowboys team that's kind of like in the middle after what last season was, and we'll get into them a little bit later in this video. But um, obviously the Giants, where they were picking this year, like this is like I don't know if you're going to live up to the Eagles, but you're first and second neck and neck with them. Wild card, like they should make the playoffs again. They should have a good season. Um, it's nothing flashy, but you should still be excited if you're a Commanders fan because you're really not used to this excitement. So just live it out, and let's just see what happens. So that's our Commanders' ideas and everything that has to do with them. And now we'll move into the Philadelphia Eagles, who I swear they find a way to do it every year.
Every
And they
year.
had these phenomenal drafts. We both gave them A minuses. Talk to me about what you got here.
Yeah, I mean it's like it's everywhere. Like every single pick they made, like at least one of us, if not both of us, had it as a value pick. Getting Cam Williams in the sixth round is absurd. It's the most Eagles thing ever. Like Jihad
It
Campbell,
is.
I wanted to trade up with him to get him like a lot earlier than they did at 31, and he just happened to fall in their lap. Is the most Eagles thing ever. Like I love Makuba where he's going to slot in there. Like Ty Robinson, we both liked a lot in this draft process. He's going to be great on that defensive line and a role that they needed to replace. And like I don't know, man. They do it every year, and here they are doing it again. Classic Eagles doing a great job. And it is a very strong A minus draft for me.
It's just unbelievable. I mean, just how they maximize all this is a lot of picks, dude. Like that's 10 picks. That's a lot of people, and usually the last few are kind of like, eh. But I like Kyle McCord even too. And I know you're high on Drew Kendall, Mondon Jr. too. Like it's a very deep draft and it addresses the holes that they need. The headliner is just the Jihad Campbell, obviously. Him dropping that far and the Eagles just happening to be there. You pair him, I mean, it feels like it's just Georgia and Alabama out there on defense. It's absolutely phenomenal. And as we kind of look into the depth chart, like, is this the best roster in the league? Because I think for the third straight year it is.
I agree. It is there is backups that they have on this team that would start on probably 20 other NFL teams. And that's not even talking about like the sheer star power they have on this team. Like I cannot fathom how they're all like how they have this. It is an embarrassment of riches is the only real way to describe the Eagles roster. An embarrassment of riches. It is wild.
It's crazy. I mean, you see the people in orange are the ones from free agency. Obviously, that purple color is the draft. Um, I mean, Azeez Ojulari, Adoree Jackson, AJ Dillon, Terrence Marshall, Kenyon Green, like these dudes, like Kyle Granson, even there, like they're like two, three deep at each position, and it's just remarkable how they can even pay all these dudes. But like all of them are young, and that's the crazy thing. This defense is ferocious. It's crazy, and the offensive line is just going to continue to do what it's done. You have your receivers, you have your running back, the best in the league. Um, you have that number two running back that you really haven't had in years past. It's just like I don't know how you're going to defend all this, and then you're just literally just stacking reserves. Obviously, N'Kobe Dean going to be injured for the first half of the season, so Jihad Campbell's going to literally slide right in there, and who knows, he may never give that middle linebacker position back if that's where he's playing. I know you have him more as kind of an edge. What do you think there? Like he kind of does slot into this middle linebacker, but is that where he's going to play?
I had him as a linebacker. I think that's where he's going to play. He's such a fantastic athlete. You know, coming out of high school, he was a five-star edge prospect. And Alabama was so excited about the sheer like athleticism and talent that he had. They're like, we're just going to figure it out and play you at linebacker and just let you. And he figured it out, and he's fantastic. He's a chess piece, and he's the best chess piece. And like, he is everything that you want in someone that is just going to play everywhere you need him to and just be running around. He's going to be awesome in coverage. He's going to be awesome rushing the passer in blitz packages. He's going to be awesome filling the gaps. He's going to slot in really, really well in this defense. And just in case the Eagles needed more firepower on that depth chart, they just ended up
It's
with that.
um it's it's really unbelievable. I had him number 12 overall, just behind Jalen Walker. You had him 27, like, but he's still not linebacker one, linebacker two. So like it's just like the ability to continue to do this, it's remarkable to me. Obviously right here he is as your favorite pick and year one impact. But talk to me about the other guys.
Makuba, I think is going to be awesome. I think he's going to, and on that depth chart, there is roles to be had at safety, and I think he's going to take advantage of that. They got him in the second round, and I think he's going to be great. I have no idea how they got Cam Williams in the sixth round. It makes absolutely no sense. He's they have two good tackles. I don't know where he's going to play, but the fact that they got him anyway is amazing. So, and then top sleeper, we both are really high on Ty Robinson. He's going to be awesome in this defense. So, very, very excited about his future with the team.
It's an unbelievable job once again. It's just a really, really good job. Obviously the Cameron Williams pick, you see what he's got there. Drew Kendall, that's a sleeper in himself. Because you know what they do with their offensive line in general. I'm just so high on Ty Robinson. I think he's like the next JJ Watt. He reminds me of JJ Watt playing. It's a fantastic job. I think Mondon Jr. here, as another linebacker choice, with the N'Kobe Dean injury. I don't know where he slots if he's more of a traditional linebacker, if you're going to play him as kind of an outside. I don't know, but like I really like him for some reason, and I feel like he's just going to provide that juice that they need. And year one impact, of course, is going to be Campbell. Um, it's just you can't say it enough. I mean, it's just a fantastic job by them. I feel like the only reason it's an A minus is because they're just so good already. Like I feel like a lot of these teams that we're giving A's to, they just got so much better over this process. I don't even know how much better the Eagles got because of how good they already are. I just know how deep they got and how good they got for the future. Um, so it's just an awesome, awesome job by them. What's the storyline for the Eagles here? Like, how did they repeat as Super Bowl champions?
I think they did the perfect job of doing that. It's almost the similar conversation with the Commanders, but in a positive way. Like what you did worked, but they supplemented it in such a fantastic way. And they somehow still managed to get better like 3 years down the road and 4 years down the road with this draft. Like it's just a absolute masterclass. Just absolutely fantastic by them. They're going to be good for a long time.
It's hard. It's really hard to beat this roster. Like, this is one of the best rosters I've ever seen. Like, covering the NFL and just watching as a fan. Like, I 100% see them. I don't know how strong this NFC is. I feel like the AFC is just going to be overpowered this year. NFC is kind of open, as it always usually is, at least the last 5 years. But I'm super excited for that. We'll kind of move on to our last team here, the Dallas Cowboys. P Dunn, what do we got?
I gave it an A minus. I like this draft a lot. There's a lot of different picks that I like a lot, and it really starts with these top four. I mean, I think you get a guard in Booker. You get Ezaraku in the second round, who we both had first round grades on, and then you got Revel in the third round, who we both had for, very early second round grades on. Like, is a fantastic value draft. Yes, you reached on Booker a little bit, but I also think he's going to be fantastic on that line. Jaden Blue, I am so excited to see in this offense, especially when they don't have a lot of running back competition right now. He's going to slot in really well. And then, no, they didn't get a bunch of amazing. I know you're high on Cornelius, but these first four picks are just fantastic, and absolutely love what they did. So I gave him an A minus. I'm very high on this draft.
They did an awesome job. Ended up going with a B plus. The Izaraku pick is fantastic. He's going to be great with Parsons. I love the getting Revel in the third is crazy. I wasn't as high on Jaden Blue as you are, so that kind of went down a little bit. But I'm high on Tyler Booker. I wanted my Seahawks to take him. It's just scheme fit. How is he going to fit in? That's really been the big question. But he was 100% the best player. So you just got to trust that his years at Alabama are going to take him to that level. We kind of look here at this offense and defense on this depth chart. It looks a little different. There's a lot of kind of marks around. I feel like they kind of overhauled a lot, but like did it in a way where they always do it, which is not spend a lot.
Yeah.
How do you explain the Dallas Cowboys offseason?
I mean, I don't know if you can ever explain a Jerry Jones offseason, but it is very on brand for him, to not even talk about the George Pickens stuff that went on. Like I love getting Tyler Booker. He's your Zach Martin replacement. You have a Hall of Famer that left, and not to say he's gonna be a Hall of Famer, but he certainly carries himself like he's gonna be one. Everybody in that organization thinks he's gonna be one. So when you have that much confidence in a guy, you go get him, you put him where the Hall of Famer was, and you let him go to work, and that's exactly what they're gonna do year one. Um, the biggest question marks the running back room. I have no idea what's going to happen there. It is also the most Jerry Jones thing ever. I'm surprised he drafted two of them. Kudos to him for getting over his pride and doing that. But it's going to be a very interesting team this offseason. But you've got pieces on defense, you've got pieces on offense. They're going to be better than they were last year. I'm confident in that. So.
And you get Dak back, which kind of is kind of the front and center piece of this obviously team. You're paying them that much money. So obviously that loss, I don't know if they had 7 wins last year, something around that, but I think they're definitely gonna go a little bit higher than that this year. We'll kind of get into that once we do the win total shortly. I really like the Joe Milton move. It'll be a really underrated thing. It won't be talked about this year. But this is like a key year for Dak. After obviously the injuries have kind of started to pile up. Obviously the contract is kind of bringing stress to the organization. If he has a down year, do you pivot to Milrow in season? It's a big question mark, but I really like them going to get him. I feel like they got him relatively cheap, and I feel like he's a skill set that can really be maximized. Obviously, they had head coaching vacancy that they filled with their own guy. How do you feel about that?
Oh, I mean, I I think it was terrible, but I mean, I'm on the outside looking in. It's really hard for us to know what's going on there. I don't think they should have let him go in the first place, and I don't think they got the right guy to backfill him. So I don't know, man. It's Jerry Jones does a lot of things that work out well, and he does some really silly stuff sometimes, and I am very much on the latter in this category. I'm not very confident in that head coaching hire promotion. I don't know. It's just not ideal for sure.
Yeah, I mean, just haven't really seen the juice with the Cowboys, and then they go to a guy that's in the building already. Kind of questionable. I don't know. Let's go into some of the picks that you had for this Cowboys team.
Yeah, Jaden Blue, like I said, is going to be my favorite pick. I think he's going to be fantastic. Draft Diamond, Phil Maffa, another guy I like. Like we were talking about earlier with Scatterboo and Tyron Tracy, Maffa is just a bowling ball, and Jaden Blue runs like a receiver. So it's going to be really fun seeing those guys honestly take over the backfield towards the second half of the season. You get these young guys in there when you've got the old guys with Javonte Williams and Miles Sanders that just don't have much tread left on the tires. I think best value has to be Revel. I have no idea how they got him in the third round. He's going to come in, he's going to play, he's going to be awesome, and I'm very excited for that. And then year one impact, like we said, Tyler Booker, he's going to slot right in after Zach Martin, and it's going to be really good for that team. He's going to be awesome.
For sure. Kind of going to mine. I'm really high on the Izaraku, just where they got him. Favorite big year one impact. Pairing him with Parsons, it's going to be a movie. I think Tyler Booker's honestly going to have the best career out of everybody that they took in this draft. Best value, Revel Jr. I mean, fifth overall on my board. He was the ninth corner taken.
Yeah.
There you go. And then I really want to highlight Shamar James. I feel like as a sleeper linebacker, this Cowboys team has lacked that linebacker. You had the Leighton Vander Esch, that, and all of the guy Jalen Smith, all those guys throughout the years. Who's going to step it up and be that? We don't know if it's Demarion Overshawn, like because of that injury or what. We're looking for it still. So I think they can run the table with Shamar James here. Really, one last quick note here with this Cowboys team. Like, how do they keep up this offense with the division?
Well, you got George Pickens and you got new running backs that are fire and lightning or thunder and lightning. So I think they took a lot of right steps in that direction. Let Dak keep doing what he's doing, and hopefully this team takes a huge step forward, primarily on the offensive side of the ball.
For sure. Can't complain there. All right, here it is. Who do you give for this NFC East, this loaded NFC East, if you will? It's hard to pick these. Nobody had a really bad offseason. Nobody had a really good one. I don't know. Who do you think is like the clear-cut winner? Because I honestly think there is one.
I think if on paper, if you just look at the draft classes and free agency signings, I think the Eagles had the best, but I think the Giants improved the most, based on where they were last year. Because I mean, the Eagles can't really get that much better, but the Giants
Yeah.
can, and they did, and took a lot of really good steps at improving that roster.
Yeah, I totally agree exactly with your point. I think Eagles obviously had the best, but most improved 100% is that New York Giants team to see what they do. With that will obviously be interesting. Is there a clear loser in your mind?
Commanders, I think
Yeah,
not because of anything they really did. It really wasn't that dramatic of an offseason. And so I think we should have talked about the Laramie Tunsil signing more. I think that was a big deal to get a good left tackle, at least for a little bit until he gets older. But yeah, I think they had the least eventful offseason out of the four teams for sure.
I would have to agree with you. I'm not very high on the Cowboys this year. However, I do think that the Commanders did kind of have an underwhelming offseason in a sense. And it'll be interesting to see if that really even matters in the first place. Last segment here. Win totals are out. You see them. Eagles 11.5, Commanders 9.5, Cowboys 7.5, and Giants 5.5, kind of even there. How are we feeling? Give me the over under for each team.
I am over on all four of them. I think all four of these teams. I'm a little skeptical about the Commanders. It would not shock me at all if they're 8-9 this season, take a step back. I think a lot of last year was really cool. I was never that high on the roster the whole time, and I don't know how much better it's going to get. Maybe I was a hater last year. Maybe I'm a hater this year. I don't know. But I think at the end of the day, I think all four of these teams will have a better record than what these over-unders show.
That's awesome. I feel like Eagles is an over. I feel like Cowboys is slight over. I would give them 8-9, 8-9, somewhere in that range. I think the Giants are the sleeper of this division.
Sure.
I think they're definitely going to be over. I think the Commanders are going to be just under. I think they're going to win 9 games. And we'll kind of go into that as we move on throughout the schedules when we take a look at their schedules. But man, it's been a pleasure. NFC East Division Draftables are done. Please let us know in the comments. Please let us know out in general how you feel about these predictions. And we'll see you next time on Division Draftables. Take care, Pete.